them the best plates, and we forget the men. After all, they're adults.
Those are good attributes of good leaders.
They can,
you serve last.
Yes, but serve him.
Yes.
Also look good and be good, because some people look very good
and be very bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But also be involved in his fun. If a guy supports Arsenal and you support Man U, yes, be nice when Arsenal beats Man U. All right. Be nice. Be involved in his fun. As he talks about rugby, over goat races, which sometimes for you don't make sense. All right.
Welcome to the Family Talk Show. My name is Eddie Okila, and on this week's edition of the Family Talk Show, we have Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe in the studio, who will be joined by Asan Sekajolo and, of course, Idiwato Chom, Onyaito Deke, Patricia Cahill, and Dr. Jemima Okwi on breaking down some very interesting things about continuous love in our families. This topic is not a topic for everyone. Everyone who is married knows that it is not easy to keep the light burning every now and then. But we have the expert opinion in the studio. They speak love and always making sure that we are in the love language. Pastor Joshua Mugabe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eddie, and I like the way you've introduced me as an expert.
Yes.
But I say this, and I have to put this disclaimer that my natural default position is not love. And so I cannot claim that I'm a true lover.
Yes.
But I'm a student of love, and I did daily coaching every day.
Yes. You know, you are in a better place than some of us. One, you practice this by training every single day, by giving your life to people, both you and your wife. So certainly you will be better than many of us who don't do this on a daily.
Yeah.
So that one there qualifies you as an expert by default.
Have you met people who work in a bank and they're very broke?
True.
And they have no savings account?
Yes.
Yes.
But that could be another debate altogether for another day. But on your set, you are different, because for them it could be by choice.
Yeah.
But for you have no choice. Because the fact that you have to continue telling us about love, we cannot draw from you what you don't have. And you cannot continue to give us what you don't have.
That's true.
So it is from that perspective that I like to say that you are more positioned to give us this than many other person out there who doesn't practice this on a daily basis. That said, welcome to the show. I would like to welcome all our friends from all across the world, in the diaspora, and of course from wherever you are. Welcome to the Family Talk Show. We're live on Twitter at HTV1 Uganda, and we're live on Facebook, House of Talent Uganda /HTV. And of course, if you can only do YouTube, go to our YouTube studio, House of Talent Uganda, and you will be at home And please share this fun wide with your family, friends, cousin, grandmother, grandpa. You know, even them, they are still loving and struggling with love. All right? But it is a topic we can discuss here. Pastor, welcome to the program. We want to dive straight to our discussion today. And if I may ask the team to put that up so that everyone can participate, we want to introduce the topic to you. Love must be celebrated, and love demands active celebration. What do you mean by this as the topic designer?
Well, like we're talking about establishing family value systems, and I think every family needs love and needs to show that love. And in this last number of years and weeks, I began to see, of course, we've tried to change the way we mourn. We no longer just say kitaro, but now we celebrate the life of so-and-so and that thing. And we will try to bring some joy to a sad moment, which I think is a great principle. But unfortunately, for some people, the only time they're celebrated in their families is at their funeral. The only time they find the word celebrate the life of is at their funeral. And the drunkards make this better because they say, don't wait for me when I'm dead and contribute and talk nice about me. They say, give me cash now, buy me another bottle. I want enjoy. And I don't want to be part of a family that only celebrates my death, which again for some people it's confusing. How do you celebrate when my loved one is gone? So in fact that means some people never get celebrated. Yet I think we ought to have that culture where we celebrate. I've met some people, they've never gotten an Easter card, no Christmas card, no birthday party. They're simply living. And I think that's not the way God created. And on the other side, unfortunately, these people have known anger, which reminds me, there's this proverb that is written here in Proverbs chapter 27, says, anger is cruel and fury overwhelming. All right? It says, but who can stand before jealousy? So it's anger, fury, jealousy. And some of us have lived in that. We are jealous from the beginning, and some people have grown they're jealous with their co-wife, co-husband, co-brother, co-whatever, and so that is what is eating the family. And daddy and mommy, when they best express themselves, they best express anger and fury. When they're angry, they break cups, they call you names, they curse your mother, they curse your father, they curse your grandfather, and that's what we've grown up with. So some people even drink so that they can even make it more dramatic. Yes. But here is something that goes on to say in verse 5, it says, better is open rebuke than hidden love. And when I think about that, it tells me that love can be there but hidden. And it's not good to have hidden love. I don't want to live in simply being rebuked all the time. Show me some love. And that's why I say families need to get to a place where we say we're going to celebrate not the life of the late so-and-so. We want to celebrate this person, all right? And I want you to celebrate me as Joshua. I want you to celebrate me as Eddie. Celebrate my wife, which indeed we're looking for a big party in my house very soon, in this month of March. And it's something that is wonderful. So, and I know some people have criticized some people when their children go to school, nursery school, first day they celebrate. The day they graduate, they put on grounds from nursery school. So who celebrates that?
The graduation in nursery school.
Yes. But you see, that culture of celebrating, making this little child feel happy and joyful is a key principle. And so my view, when I say let's celebrate, let's put this person on a poster, if to be possible, and write great, amazing things. Not just even write, say it, say it, say it. I know some people say, I don't want to tell a lie. if this person does not
doesn't qualify
me
for
up,
yes,
okay? Yes, they don't tune you up,
Yeah.
but you must choose a day where you say, today we're forgetting everything else.
Yeah.
It's party time. And I will tell you, families that party more than others are usually happier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor, how do you start to celebrate somebody when you have not been celebrated? When you never received the celebration? When your entire setup going up from birth to whatever time you've reached, that love, that language was never yours.
Yeah.
And here you are, we're telling you, celebrate, celebrate. For you, your language of celebration is very different.
Yeah.
It may not be very expressed, openly expressed rather, or an open expression of it does not suffice in your way.
Yeah.
But you express in a different way. And the modus operandi of that expression, as given, is always show love by flowers or by, cards.
Yeah.
And for you, you simply don't know how to write these things by card. What you know to do is I am there whenever you need me at any given time. How do you deal with that?
Okay. The fact of life is there are different ways that make us feel happy and celebrated.
Yeah.
One usually surpasses the other, but we all need somebody who will tell you you're amazing. Not because you've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Elgon, all right, which you can give given a push, but you want to know somebody says, I value you because you indeed are valuable. There's something amazing about you as an individual, and we want to promote that every day of our lives, because we have enough anger, we have enough fury. I mean, any simple person can get angry, right? Any simple person can show their fury, can show their madness, and they say twako, and any simple person can do that. But we must learn to say, and I think we train ourselves.
Okay.
I mean, some things you may not have known them, but you can train yourself. You can learn. I remember one day this happened to me. Somebody sent me 4 full stops of abuses.
What had you done?
I seemed to be friendly to a person that they thought should have been only a friend to them.
Okay.
And so they thought they must give me some beat. So I read this. At first I was so angry, so disturbed. But I said, wow, I think I should take this as a medal. Because one of the outstanding statements that, or label they put on me was, in the presence of an orangutan, the orangutan would feel handsome. That was breaking the record of ugliness.
Yes.
Isn't that so amazing?
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, this person has a dictionary of all the bad terms to use on me. I thought, I think I should reverse that. I should teach myself to have 20 full steps on how to affirm people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you ever write this?
I have many words of affirmation that I've learned and I'm keeping learning. And then I also landed, I think, on a full step, 100 ways to affirm your child. All right?
Okay.
You're amazing, you're great, you are super, way to go, and the rest. I need to remind myself of all these different things. So you want to make that part of your daily language.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Family Talk Show. And on the Family Talk Show, we discuss issues that affect families day, night, morning, evening, afternoon. And these things are real life situations. But there are challenges that affect families, and there are challenges that families go through. What are you doing to get your family out of that challenge? And today on this topic, which is very interesting, Pastor has just taken us through 11 minutes or 12 minutes of it, of just trying to make sure we understand. If you have not received it, how are you giving it back? I want to put that topic up one more time, and we'll ask Pastor one more question just before we take a break. Pastor, you have talked about how to receive it when you have not received. You talked about giving cards now, and you've also answered the question of cards or no cards,
Yeah.
you can still do.
Yeah.
Love must be celebrated demands an active love language every single day, and that celebration cannot be very easy for most people. I have a question for you, Pastor, and the question is very simple. Women often demand for more
Yeah.
from men than a man can offer.
Yeah.
And their love language for celebration is totally very different, we are told.
Yeah.
But we are struggling with many books written by many love experts
Yeah.
that simply seems to affirm that this is what the ladies want, this is what the ladies want.
Yeah.
And men out there are struggling to say, but it looks like it's about women, 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 women.
Yeah.
And they don't understand what men are going through.
Yeah.
One, I have a lot to do.
Yeah.
The responsibility to guide the families with me.
Yeah.
Number two, the responsibility for me to spend a lot more money than everyone in the family is there.
Yeah.
And so I have to look for the money and have to make sure that. How do you celebrate constant celebration when the realities of life of the celebration also needs some bit of money?
Yeah.
And you're looking for it, and then somebody says, take a break, let's celebrate. But you know, if I don't work today and we celebrate today, chances of us not having food tomorrow and the landlord come and say, "Toka," from my house are very high. So men operate within that space.
Yeah.
Women don't. How do we bridge the gap?
Yeah. So I think men, we are the ones who have complicated ourselves. All right? That when you think of a celebration, you are thinking of $1 million shillings. Yet, God has made life easy for us. That which touches the heart of your friend may not necessarily even require you $1 million shillings. It may be simple things. Because maybe your wife is craving simply for you to hold her hand and cross the road with her. How much money do you require to hold her hand and cross the road with her? How much is that?
There is not much money involved there at all. But how about if I can't hold a hand,
Yes.
Pastor, and she just grabs my hand and says, let's cross. Will I refuse? I will not refuse.
Yes.
Because sometimes my mind is wandering and is far
Yeah.
on protecting her from a coming car
Yes.
to knock us.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes women, when they are crossing the road, they go in the middle of the road and then they go back, and that's why they are called
There's
knock.
Superman.
So how about you should cross?
There's Superman, just like you've seen the advert, I think, soy milk. So
Yes,
this guy who
yes,
jumps,
yes.
I'm sure he jumps from a gym
Yes.
and saves this kid.
Yes.
All right. Right. It's not a lot of money, but he's alert and he's meeting a service, saving the life of a little child. Hassan, while he's going around the world, is helping men how to celebrate your wife by simply say, I'm holding the baby. I will be there. The other day there was this competition, I think, how do you tie a baby on your back as a man? And of course women were laughing. We haven't grown up doing that. But there are other things that you can do. Why aren't you with her when it comes to crossing? I tell her, I see that car coming, let's wait. Now it is safe to cross. Just like you do it with your little child. The reason you call her babe is because there's a babiness in her that you want to call out of her, where she's appreciated for who she is, not for the food she's cooking or the shirt she's ironing. No. That's who she is. She's a queen to your life. So you don't need cash on that.
Wow.
Sometimes maybe your wife is craving for grasshoppers and God sends them freely.
To go and catch from the house.
Catch
Yes,
some.
yes, yeah.
Yes. And bring them to the house.
Yes.
And it makes a difference. Sometimes it's simple popcorn. Either you buy the popcorn seeds or from the popcorn machine. 500 shillings will give you something to eat with and drink coffee with. Sometimes simply sit and allow her to tell your stories. Sometimes you probably need to compliment her hairstyle because she's been to the salon, she's come back, and you said absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, Pastor, and when we come back, Pastor will be telling us on the next, 12 or 13 minutes how we 10 or I don't know how many ways you have today to share with us, the ways that we can express ourselves, you know, on how to show this constant celebration of love, which is demanded of us, both men and women. So we're going to a break, and when we come back, Pastor will be able to tell us more on that. For now, grab a cup of coffee and get prepared to come back for this one. And of course, make sure you have a notebook to write some of these things out. Things are better written down, but if you have a superhead like mine that crams everything, you are better. But it's okay for you to write. Stay right there, we'll be right back after the break.
I've been in Uganda for very many years, and I believe Uganda is the place anybody should aspire to live in. We have good weather, we have abundance of food, we have abundance of employment as long as you look out for the right things. But Uganda has been hit in recent times with the stigma of greed, and it shows in everything that we read in the newspapers. It shows on television. It shows even when you're sitting down with people just trying to make ends meet. Everybody wants to bite off a piece that's bigger than what they deserve. That is Uganda's major problem in my eyes. If only we could curb the greed, if only we could share out that pie equally and of course responsibly, then we will be the best country on the planet. In the next 5 years, I really wish and hope that Ugandans can look at the bigger picture, can look at Uganda as a country, can look at their neighbors, their friends, and see that everybody needs equal opportunity. Because in the next 5 years, I don't want people to be calling me up saying, please, can you find me a job? I want people to be calling me up and saying, would you like to come and work with me? That is what I'd like to see. In the next 50 years, I don't want to see my child suffering. I want to see him prosperous. I want to see him with a good wife, with children, with a family of his own, living the dream. That's what I would like to see in Uganda. That's my honest opinion. And I'm Mark Kaheru, I'm Ugandan. What do you say?
It is a family talk show straight out of Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, to the rest of the world. We are the Pearl of Africa. Have you visited Uganda yet? Have you brought your family to Uganda? Does your family know where Uganda is geographically located? on planet Earth? If not, please show up in Uganda and we will show you love. For now, we're showing you love on the Family Talk Show, where we're discussing the matter to do with love, the matters of heart. How to constantly celebrate love with your partner, in your family, with your siblings, with your sisters. That's another whole different ball game that we haven't yet tackled. But Pastor Joshua Mugabe, welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
Pastor, before we went for a break, you gave us the 3 love languages, if I may put it, that we can follow to constantly celebrate love in our families. I want the team to put that topic up so that we can remind you. You might have taken a cup of coffee and forgotten what we're discussing. Love must be celebrated. The word is must. That's big.
Yeah.
Love must be celebrated, and love demands active celebration. One is must be celebrated. How do we celebrate it? 2 demands active celebration.
Yeah.
And the series on the Family Talk Show is very simple: building family value systems. It is based on that value system that we can derive some of these things we're talking about. But Pastor, the love language from women are different. I know I've asked you this question, but I'll repeat it and rephrase it in a better way. Many men out there are struggling with the way women demand love from them, and it feels like it's just about women when we talk about love and celebration. It's never about men. So somehow men tend to get a burnout by feeling like, okay, if I am not talking to you when I've come home, it doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you. I just want to sit down, relax, and have you just be quiet near me there, and okay, smile and just be. I'm still in love with you. But for you, you are saying, hey, what's up? What's up? And I'm tired. It doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you or I don't love you. So some men get burnout from that. How can we help women to understand that not every time a man is not talking, is not expressing his love to you? It's a problem, Pastor.
Okay. I remember I landed on this 10 ways to show love to your husband. And I personally said, no, I will rewrite it.
This is for men, for women. Tell love to show love to you. Yes. Thank you very much, everybody out there. Please clap for Pastor. He has come with a very
good stuff. I found fault with it, so I amended it because from number 5 to number 10, they say serve leg, serve leg, serve leg, serve leg. With all your heart serve. I said no, it's a misrepresentation of men. I know men's number 1 felt need is sex. And then there's respect and the rest. So I said, no, okay, this is the way I think I would say, show love to me this way. 1, respect me. My ideas, my phone, my parents, my decisions. All right? Revere me. I mean, give me some praise. I may only be able to kill a cockroach. I may not be able to kill rats because I'm not a vermin killer. Praise me when I kill a cockroach. All right?
Okay.
So, give me some reverence. Cheer me up. All right? Say, okay, fine. You may be broke, you may be shorter than your neighbor, whichever, but man, life is okay. So cheer me up. And then listen to understand. Because sometimes we feel listened to be corrected. No, listen to understand me. Then serve him first. And I know, of course, these were traditional things. The man eats the drumstick and the chest of the chicken, but serve him first. You know, sometimes we serve all the visitors, give them the best plates, and we forget the men. After all, they're adults.
Those are good attributes of good leaders. You are served last.
Yes, but serve him.
Yes.
Also look good and be good, because some people look very good
and be very bad.
Okay. All right, but also be involved in his fun. If a guy supports Arsenal and you support Man U, yes, be nice when Arsenal beats Man U. All right, be nice. Be involved in his fun. As he talks about rugby, over goat races, which sometimes for you don't make sense. All right, but be involved. At least inquire and say, did your goat win? How does it feel? Be involved, okay? So
Yeah.
that communication is important.
Yeah.
Speak well of him. Speak well of him, because sometimes we guys frustrate our wives or our loved ones, but speak well of him. And I know in the past you say bedroom things should be kept in the bedroom. Yes, you may be looking for counsel, but speak well. At least have a list. These are the 10 things my friend or my man does well, and let them be listed somewhere. And tell him also that these areas you are a shining guy. And say these areas give me trouble. Pray for him. And of course, like you say, man's felt need is sex. Yeah, give him good sex. And don't simply be present, but be involved in the whole process. And that's another whole topic to talk through. But to me, I think if men knew they were heard and listened to, they are respected, and they are given that skill. And I think that's why God created women, so that they will be encouragers, helping the man to go beyond the frustrations of life, the fears of life. So, yeah. So what was your question?
Well, so my question you have answered, but there's one that you have not tackled very well. And actually you mentioned here the number 5 down.
Yeah.
I have been reading, Pastor, and I'm now speaking on behalf of other men, you exclusive or inclusive. In my learning and understanding, there seems to be a misconception that men is about sex always and everything is about them. But actually it's not true.
Yeah.
Because most men that I have read about, or we have had our man talk and discussed, is actually less more about sex than the respect. Men more they demand respect, knowing that my wife actually respects me. My wife knows that I am not a failure. My wife knows that I have I'm working for this family. Yes. My wife knows that I care for my family. All I am doing morning, evening, day and night, I care for my. That seems to be one of the most outstanding things for men. Sex will come second to that. But from all through the books I have read, I'm reading an audio book right now, and which says Highways, I think is Highways, His Ways, or something like that. His needs, our needs. Yes, that book. And I found 1,000 problems with it. Half of the explanation in the book seems to suggest that it's about a certain way of behavior to men, and then I also realized that the way the men in the Western world behave is absolutely different from the way the men in the African context behave. So no one has been able to go along the way to actually do research to put all men together. But we seem to pick just a small piece from here and then generalize everyone. So I want to say, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, it's more about respect. I can bring men here and they will say, all I need is respect. Give me respect, everything else I will give you. But if there is no, if I don't feel like I'm respected, I don't feel like you care that I am working every day to go and labor for the family. That seems to be the biggest thing. It's never about sex. But somehow it has been put that way. What is your summary of all of this, Pastor? Having given you from these books I'm reading. Is it true that we are about sex? Because everybody says men number 1 is this, but actually I think it's not.
So they've done the research, and of course what sex means to a man is different from what it means to a woman. And good, great sex to a man does push him a lot in many other great areas in his life. So, and maybe that's why they say it's number 1. When a man feels he's failed sexually, he feels he's lost, because the academic papers you bring to supplement, no, that is an immediate, let me call it test ground, but it's an affirmation ground, the way God created us. So, but what we are really looking for in our heart of hearts is that which God spoke over Jesus. This is my son in whom I'm well pleased. We want to be accepted. We all want that place of acceptance where we are accepted for who we are, where we are secure in who we are, not because of what we've done or not done. We want to again, for men, we really want to to be known as significant people. All right, I've made a significant contribution either to this child, to this woman, to this family, to this company, and that's where we lean towards. So if our significant contribution is not recognized, we will feel bad, we will feel unworthy, we will feel we've failed in life. And so that's where this whole thing comes in. So you want to help the man know he's significant, and his contribution, whether it's in cash terms or not, it is significant and has been received for what it really is. So we need to know that every man counts. I know they used to talk about every vote counts. Yes, every man counts.
Yes.
And every woman counts. And every child counts. All right? So every one of us counts, and we must reaffirm that. That's why we say we want to celebrate love. Love must be celebrated in the family. When your child stands up after having been crawling, you celebrate that. If you can take pictures, take pictures. Go through a party for that. For everything, when your sick person recovers, comes back home, throw a party. It's a birthday. I mean, do something, show them, you know, you're the one. My children used to go to daffodils, and every week they'll choose a child of the week. And sometimes okay, they choose that, but with time you realize they want to give every child an opportunity to wear that tag, child of the week. Take pictures, it builds up something. I don't know whether families are capable of doing this, where it's saying, who is the man of the week, the servant of the week, the woman of the week, or the month, and we say this time we are going to praise this person, and all our focus is on this person. And of course people receive love differently, like said son, when you help them in their chores or chores, whatever the English word is, okay, you serve them, it helps them. When others, you spend quality time with them, just talking to them, being there, rubbing their hair, and just rubbing their hands, man, they feel heaven is on earth. Others, you need to shower them with gifts. Others, words of affirmation. And so all these different things, you must learn what works best with a person. But I would say we must have families that know how to give gifts, that know how to listen, giving us quality time, that know how to serve us, and also how to affirm us, and all these different things.
Well, Pastor, our time is fast spent. Thank you very much, first of all, for coming to the show today. I'm looking forward to a perspective from Asan Sekajolo later on the show. I want you to summarize this for us, Pastor. I know somebody will send a message asking for this clarification to come. And Tim, if you can put that question up again, we want Pastor to just take us through it very quickly in a matter of a minute. Love must be celebrated. Why did you use the word must be celebrated? That's a key, strong word.
Because unfortunately, like I said, you never go to any family, you tell them they celebrate anger. And yet anger is a key factor in many families. Love, sometimes we are shy about it, sometimes we say, okay, I'll show you love, but you have this. And I say must because we must be deliberate.
Okay.
Love does not come naturally. It's an effort. We first of all must learn to receive love.
Ourselves.
We must learn to receive love so that love is overflowing. One of those changing stories in the Bible is this woman who found Jesus and washed his feet with her tears and dried his feet with her hair. And people say, hey, who does that to a man of God? But Jesus, in bringing that story to light, he says, you know, he who is forgiven much loves much.
Okay.
He who receives, because that woman had found something so amazing in her life that common talk did not hinder her. So she expressed that love. But why do you remember her? She could have been somewhere in a room, somewhere saying, oh, what Jesus has done for me, I cannot tell it all. It's a nice song, but it's a terrible song. What God has done for you, you must tell it. What your husband has done for you, you must tell it. What your wife has done for you, you must tell it. What your children have done for you, you must tell it. We must get on the rooftop and talk about it.
All right, so you are watching the Family Talk Show, and I want you to put the second one up there so that people can see it and Pastor can summarize that one very quickly.
Yeah.
Pastor, you said love demands active celebration.
Yeah.
Would you want to break that up for us to take home like you've done for Must Be Celebrated?
Yeah.
Demands active celebration.
Yeah, so don't simply sit back and send SMSs and WhatsApps, which are good, but go to that person and say, look them straight in the eye and say, you're amazing. List down the thing and say, you know, you're amazing about this. All right? Take time, have a party. Take time, go out as a family. Take time, go on a holiday. Because I know one of the challenges, I am out working all the time and I want to send my wife on holiday. I like what one man said, she doesn't need a holiday from you. Although if she needs a holiday from you, you're in big trouble. She needs a holiday with you.
Yes.
So plan, and when you're together, these things must be thrown aside.
Yeah.
And say this 1 hour or this 15 minutes is me and you. TV off, remote hidden by the children. Now we're going to talk. I remember one child talking to his father and said, at least this is my prayer. I want 100 days with you. Having seen 100 days with Trump, the kid said, no, I need 100 days with my father. That's my request.
Yes.
So that we can sit, go out to the beach, take ice cream together, go to Acacia Mall, do things together.
Yeah.
So get time when you focus on each other. Active, not simply sending, be present, spirit, soul, and body. And don't put time that clashes. Like if Manu is playing Arsenal, that's the wrong time. It's the wrong time to you try and say, we catch up time. Catch up time must be maybe like Good Friday, and don't only wait for Good Friday. Make it part of your calendar that every 4th day of the week, this is what to do.
Well, thank you very much, Pastor. We want to say our time is fast spent, and this is the Family Talk Show. You are actually watching the Family Talk Show, and we will be back next week, same time, same place, and we'll be bringing you the best topic on the series of celebrating, rather building our family values so that we can be able to celebrate love better and also be able to demand love from those who we need love from and give love to those who we need to give. Otherwise, it's been really a fantastic day, moment, hour, second having you on the Family Talk Show. Until next week, stay blessed and God bless. This is the Family Talk Show. Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe, Edio Killer, signing out. Until next week.
Private sector is not yet fully utilized because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk about value addition in the agriculture sector, in the mineral sector. If there is enough investment in those areas, I think it can create enough jobs for our children and grandchildren.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to take you to question number 4, Andrew, which is let's talk about your journey at City Hall and the foray into the Executive Director's office, which is as Andrew Chitaka,
Very interesting.
as well as the Director Engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011. And before then, I was
for so much.
Yes.
CEO of, you know, whatever.
Yes.
They give so much.
This is the reason why you're actually on the bench.
Because of my credibility. Thank you so much. But now they attack you, they vilify you. And the goal is to weaken you financially. Is to weaken your honor. These are slanderers. So I'm glad that someone would stay up at night to ask and learn about me. And I pray that in the next 2 months, because I know many Ugandans who travel overseas, when they go there, one of the things, because the media has been so much, and Sam Kutesa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has really not done a good job. He has dropped the ball on this issue. Why? So many of us are being accused of being gay killers, including me. You've just heard that person. Uganda is being accused that we kill gays, which actually is absolutely untrue. And because of this, it has affected our tourism. It affects people who go overseas to do work or study. It affects whenever you go to a conference. Hi, my name is Eddie Okiela. Oh, where are you from? I'm from Uganda. Oh, you are the gay killers. And then you begin to describe. So one of the things that I've done is I've written a book, which should be coming out. I know that I keep saying the same thing, but the work of doing a book takes a long time, and I wish I could be supported. You know, many people who write on this subject, like Sylvia Tamale, she's supported by the Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Foundation. There is money.
Is a very big brand, and as we go on, we will probably discuss the things we're trying to do to see that things change for the better.
Good. Sean, on the CEO bench, for everyone who is following, we're live on our YouTube studio where we actually stream from. So YouTube studio, for everybody asking for a link, is actually House of Talent Uganda.
Confident in themselves and what they are offering. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, women will easily settle for a less pay than men would.
Mona Onyeto Deke goes on to say, or I think this is a comment, says, I didn't know that beauty products are taxed at 60%. Whoa.
They are. I pray that changes soon, but they are.
Okay. So with that challenge of 60%,
setting up the company, you're doing tours all across the world. You know, a personal account is great, but how these things are taxed becomes important for you know, for your business later on. As soon as you cross that threshold of 50 million a year, you know, you're now in
the interest becomes more shares.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome to Sunday Rise. We're here to inspire you and to be a blessing to you right there in your homes or wherever you're watching us from. Like I said earlier, my name is Matthew Ayiji. They call me Matthew 7:7. Why Matthew 7:7? Some people ask. You know, the Bible says in Matthew chapter 7 verse 7, ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be open. So there are ways people ask God things. And that is a way for Matthew, he asked God. Sometimes you ask in prayer, yeah. For me, I ask in worship and in praise. And I think it's the faster way for me. That is why I'm Matthew 7:7. And it's always a privilege to find myself in anybody's corner. Either in church, in the office, anywhere, doing this thing for God. I like singing, I like worshiping. It's my lifestyle. And it makes me happy, you know. Sometimes you look around and you find out that life seems so tough. But what do? There's a God that is able, He's faithful, and can do all things. This is Valentine's Day, people say, 14th of February. But on this faithful and glorious day, where some hearts are broken, some people are in tears right now because their calls are not being picked, that is a God that loves you. That is someone that cares much about you. And He wants you to just fall into His arms. He's God. He's the one that created you. Your creation to this earth was not by mistake. He has you at the point of His, at the front of His mind. People say at the back of His mind. No, He has you at the front of His mind before He brought you to this earth. And I want to let you know, just put your trust in Him. Love Him. Because when you love God, He makes things work out for you. He makes things work out for you. We're going to do a song together. We love you, Lord. We love you, Lord. I don't know who you love right now. Is it that boyfriend? Is that girlfriend? Is that all that you love? It's when you love God first, then every other thing will fall in place. He said the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Whether you're a Christian, you're not a Christian, that is God in everything we do. When you fear Him, that's the beginning of wisdom. And He gives you wisdom to now choose right in everything you do, in your career, in your life, everything. So join me as we do this song. We know it. We love you, Lord. We adore you, Lord. We lay our lives before your throne. We love you, Lord. We adore you, Lord. We lay our lives before your throne. There is none beside you, Lord. No other God but you. We lay our lives before your throne. There is none beside you, Lord. No other God but you. We lay our lives before your throne. We love you, Lord. I adore you, Lord. I lay my life before your throne. There's none beside you, Lord. No other God but you. We lay our lives before your throne. We lay our lives before your throne. If you watch God the way He created the heavens and the earth, He did it step by step. The next one is going to be one step at a time. You see, a lot of us young out there, people, youths, even the married, the people out there, they want to do things too much at the same time. The Bible is saying the first day God created the heavens and the earth. And like that, the second day, and He kept creating until He made you and me. Maybe why you are frustrated sometimes and you are so confused because you are not taking one step at a time. Learn to take one step at a time. Think and remember where God has brought you from and where He's taken you to at each time of your life. And you will know that you have either not failed it yet, because there is time and season attached to everything that we do here on earth. Maybe your time hasn't come. Maybe you are still just at the verge of entering into your time. But did you run away from it? Are you too in a hurry? I'm only human, 'cause I'm just a young man. Help me believe and know that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb, Lord, for my sake, just teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Lord, teach me today to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Lord, teach me today to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Lord Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, is what's now than then. Stealing and killing, violence and crime. But Lord, for my sake, just teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Lord, teach me today to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Please help me today, show me the way, Lord, one day at a time. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, please show me the way, one day at a time. Always put your trust in God. He will help you. Yesterday is gone. Don't look behind. It is gone and it don't deal. Today is here. What are you making out of your life? There is a God that can help you. Put your trust in Him, because He makes a way. You know, when you look around and you see that your mates are making things and you're like, okay, this one just bought a car, this one just did this one is growing, this one has just built his house and all that. Ask for the story. Don't just conclude on the glory of sin. The car someone has today, the Range Rover he has today, the Lamborghini he might have today, might become a taxi tomorrow when your own car will come to be, you know. You might have the latest. Why kill yourself before the time? Put your trust in God, people. in the midst of the pandemic where people are crying every day, thinking life is done. Hey guys, some people just died. Did you know that? Your life breathing. So it's good news. All you need to do is just always hold on to God, because He made a way. Don't know how, but He did it. Made a way. Standing here, just looking back on where we've come from, but holding on to faith we'll know best. Nothing can catch you by surprise. You got this figured out, and you're watching us now. You wrapped us in your arms and stepped in. It's everything we need, you supply. You got this in control, and now we know that you made our way. On the back way against the wall, and they look to see if it was over. You made our way, and you're standing here only because you made a way. When the backs were against the wall, and it looked see it was over, and you made our way. And we're standing here only because you made our way. Standing here, just looking back on where we've come from. Because of you and nothing we've done to deserve the love and mercy we've shown. Your grace was strong enough to pick us up, and you made our way. When the backs were against the wall, and it looked to save it all over, and you made our way. And we're standing here only because you made our way. 'Cause you move a mountain, you cause the walls to fall with your power. Perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you move mountains. You cause the worlds to fall with your power. You perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you made. And we're standing here only because you made. And we're standing here only because you made. We're standing here only because you made our way. He's gonna make a way for you and you and you and you and you and you. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know He's a way maker. He's a covenant-keeping God. He's a faithful God, you know. When He says, I'm going to do something, He does it. Maybe the problem is because you've not trusted Him enough. Put your trust in Him. The Bible says those that put their trust in God are like Mount Zion, that can never be moved. What is that thing that has been troubling you, keeping you down, you're low in the spirit? I got good news for you. God is going to make a way for you. I got good news for you. God is going to come through for you. I remember Peter, he toiled all through the night in the Bible and caught nothing. And Jesus showed forth and said, son, cast your net at the right-hand side. And that was it. The Bible says he caught a lot of net-breaking fish. God is about to show you where to cast your net. My fellow worshipers, my fellow singers, God is about to show you that song that will give you the breakthrough. You know, some of us are frustrated because we look around, we've sung in churches for years, we've been on stage for decades, yet the breakthrough has not come. He will make a way for you. Let him be in front of you. Let him be the Lord inside of you. Let him be the one leading you. He will lead you aright. He will lead you aright. Put your trust in him. I'll put you in front of my melody. You're all that matters. You're all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I, Jesus. You're all that matters. You're all that matters. I'll put you in front of my destiny. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I forever. You are all that matters. You're all that matters. Oh, way, oh, way. Oh, way, oh, way. Da 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 da. Oh, way, oh, way. You're all that matters. 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 Let me just tell you a little thing about myself, and we continue the worship to another level. Listen, I came from a home, a family that you might look at like nothing. Sometimes I look at my parents and I'm like, okay, where is the future for us now? Because you look around and you don't find future anywhere around you. My dad happened to be alone. They gave back to him alone. So, you know, when you look around, you don't even find an uncle anywhere to say, okay, he's going to be the one to, maybe I have an uncle in the US, I have an auntie there and there, that I can make a call and they send some stuff to me. No, it was not there. There was just no reason to look at the future that is very bright. But God, knowing my heart, gave me a reason. And that reason was to trust him. To put him in front of my destiny. I lost my parents years back and I began life struggling myself, trying to do things, put stuff together. You might have the same story with me. I don't know. I'm just sharing my story. But life didn't end from there. I always find myself before heaven, lifting up my voice to him. And God keeps telling me, son, I ain't finished with you yet. There are a lot of things I want to do with your life. Just keep trusting me. Put me in front of your destiny. And I did. And he has been seeing me through. I remember the first time I sang was on a very big stage of thousands of people. I was a very young kid when I was 10 years old. And they put me in front of that crowd. And when I finished, my life never remained the same. And I keep doing this for God. Anytime I find myself in the time as a privilege to lift up my voice, sickness itself cannot even keep me down because it's a passion, it's born in me, and I do it for years. And today I want to charge you, my fellow worshiper out there, that feel that, let me throw away the microphone. No. That is something at the end of the tunnel for you. Don't just give up. No shining will light up, mountain you would climb up, coming after me. That's what he did for me. No wall you would kick down, lie you would tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow he didn't light up, mountain he didn't climb up, coming after me. No wall you would kick down, lie you would tear down, coming after me. He's coming after you, people. No wall you would climb up, shadow you would light up, coming after me. If he did that for me. No wall you would kick down, lie you would tear down, coming after me. 'Cause oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, he chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. It's coming after you. No shadow you will light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you will light up, and mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. It chases me down, fights till I'm.
Private sector is not yet fully utilized because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk about value addition in the agriculture sector, in the mineral sector. If there is enough investment in those areas, I think it can create enough jobs for our children and grandchildren.
Okay. I just want to take you to question number 4, Andrew, which is, let's talk about your journey at City Hall and the foray into the Executive Director's office, which is as Andrew Chitaka,
Very interesting.
as well as the Director Engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011. And before then, I was
for so much.
Yes.
CEO of whatever.
Yes.
They give so much.
This is the reason why you are actually on the bench.
Because of my credibility. Thank you so much. But now they attack you, they vilify you.
Yes.
And the goal
Yes.
is to weaken you financially.
Yes.
Is to weaken your honor.
Yes.
These are slanderers.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that someone would stay up at night
Yes.
to ask and learn about me.
Yeah.
And I pray that in the next 2 months, because I know many Ugandans who travel overseas, when they go there, one of the things, because the media has been so much, and Sam Kutesa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has really not done a good job. He has dropped the ball on this issue. Why? So many of us are being accused of being gay killers, including me. You've just heard that person. Uganda is being accused that we kill gays, which actually is absolutely untrue. And because of this, it has affected our tourism. It affects people who go overseas to do work or study. It affects whenever you go to a conference. Hi, my name is Eddie Okiela. Oh, where are you from? I'm from Uganda. Oh, you are the gay killers. And then you begin to describe. So one of the things that I've done is I've written a book, which should be coming out. I know that I keep saying the same thing, but the work of doing a book takes a long time, and I wish I could be supported. You know, many people who write on this subject, like Sylvia Tamale, she's supported by the Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Foundation. There is money.
There is a very big brand, and as we go on, we will probably discuss the things we're trying to do to see that things change for the better.
Good. Sean, on the CEO bench, for everyone who is following, we're live on our YouTube studio where we actually stream from. So YouTube studio, for everybody asking for a link, is actually House of Talent Uganda.
Confident in themselves and what they are offering. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, women will easily settle for a less pay than men would.
Okay. Mona Onyeto goes on to say, I think this is a comment, says, I didn't know that beauty products are taxed at 60%. Whoa.
They are. I pray that changes soon, but they are.
Okay. So with that challenge of 60%,
setting up the company, you're doing tours all across the world. You know, a personal account is great, but how these things are taxed becomes important for your business later on. As soon as you cross that threshold of 50 million a year, you know, you're now in
the interest become more shares.
Yes.
Welcome to Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on HTV, House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. 2022, new year, new things, and hopefully this time around the league will resume and we won't have any more problems like we did the past 2 years. Well, in the studio with me today is a championship coach. He coached our Xavier basketball all the way to the finals and all the way to the championship. In the house with me today is Moses Okwera. He's one of the guys I've seen who really develops talent. You know, he takes players from zero and leads them to a place where they need to be. Moses, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for inviting me. Slam Dunk, Man, it's hot. It's really good to be here, man.
Yeah, I like how you said it's hot. We'll actually start from there. When the league resumed, the NBL failed to resume last season, but the D-League, the first and the second division, decided that they should resume their games, and it actually happened. The ladies didn't have the same opportunity for their league to be resumed, but you guys went ahead and said, you know what, it doesn't matter what FUBA is saying, what NCS is saying, we're going to resume the league. What was the mentality behind you guys actually going forward with it, seeing that the NBL itself, being the top tier in the country, did resume? What was the thought process behind that?
Actually, we have to thank the lower league management, the LLMC. They did a great job because, first of all, they asked which teams were available. Because the rule was, if I had 7 or 8 or 9 teams, the league would resume. And actually, both Div 1 and Div 2 boys team put up the numbers. That's where it all started. So, and in NBL, they didn't, and the ladies, they didn't put up numbers. So that's where it started from. So Div 1 and Div 2 had numbers. So when they had numbers, they said, okay. They wrote to teams and said, all the teams that have confirmed, are you ready to play? They accepted. So that's where now lower league division had to resume, because the players, the teams were available, because they thought maybe since being lower teams and there's too much of COVID and tests and what, they think they'll pull out.
But I mean, what does that say about the NBL teams? Because considering we're supposed to look at in relation, the NBL here is like the NBA, in America, and they're supposed to be the leaders in Ugandan basketball. Teams like the City Oilers, teams like KIU, JKL decided to pull out, and it was the same rule. If they had a certain number of teams, then the league would have continued. Okay, but these big teams pulling out, what does that say about the NBL? Is there some unseriousness that needs to be checked?
I think it was, man, COVID hit everyone hard. And if you look at most the teams you've mentioned, City Oil, KIU, JKL, they kind of being professional or semi-professional. They had players on contracts, and they have to pay them. And COVID, and most of these teams are owned by individuals. They don't have sponsors. Or maybe City Oil, they have sponsors. But also business was slow. So financially, these teams were hit hard. It was really tough for them, and that's why they couldn't come back. The league couldn't be there. Even me myself, I couldn't believe we'd play, because I realized COVID, you have to go for testing and all this. It's really expensive. Spending 50K on a player instead of giving that 50K to the player to enjoy it. So it was it's financial, because the player's not. COVID has been there. You have to play. You have to pay the player, and he's not on court. So most teams looked at it and was like, no, we don't have that money. It was financial. That one, I can't lie or what. It was a financial issue. So that was the issue.
So speaking about financial issues, most of the guys I've had on the show, we always ask them this question, looking at FUBA as the entity that actually is responsible for basketball in the country. Over the past 2 years, of course, with the COVID and the lockdown, really basketball hasn't been happening, and finances going into testing and all these other things. Then you had the national team coming up, and they needed finances for that also. The ladies ended up missing their qualifiers for basket. And it seems like financial issues have always been a problem for FUBA. Whether it was during the lockdown or even before that, people have always been complaining, there's not enough finances in FUBA. So according to you, do we have a financial problem in FUBA, or there's a certain underlying problem that we are not seeing that actually leads, to this financial issue?
I think I will not say there's a financial issue in FUBA, because I don't know what takes place there. I think I'll talk about on the side of like managing a team or something.
Yeah.
Most of these teams don't have sponsors.
Yeah.
And you see, when you have a league or when you have a team,
yeah.
There must be strategy for sponsorship to come in.
Yeah.
And I was talking to, I think, one of I think a company. Our league was kind of like long, and there's no mileage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But since media houses have been coming in, yeah, because for a corporate company to invest, they must have value for money.
Yeah, that's true.
They must have that mileage.
Yeah.
So I think the marketing department of the federation had to do that, like to put the game out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game out there so that sponsors can come in.
Yeah.
But without that, we can't really get finances.
Yeah,
you also know that.
Yeah.
So where does it start? Basketball must get a home. If we get a home, maybe like YMCA.
Yeah.
The fans, then we do marketing. You guys are doing a great job of putting up basketball talk shows, because when we talk about this, and maybe there's a corporate companies are following in, we'll get brands coming in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is going to be the problem. We have to market because the game is there.
Yeah.
The referees have improved. The coaches are there, but we have to put in the game out there so that we can get sponsors.
Yeah.
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 So talking about that and sponsorship, it has always been a very big problem. It has always been a very big problem when it comes to teams actually marketing themselves, because we have before the MTN sponsored the league for some time.
Yeah.
Then we had Airtel at a certain point.
Yeah.
Then we had I think Tascalite sponsoring a couple of tournaments there.
Yeah.
Then
After the playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. Then we had also the tournament that just concluded, the Power Basketball Tournament. Betway was there. You had Club that was there. And it seems like marketing has always been a very big issue when it comes to teams, because most of the teams I see don't even have a marketing department.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's not there.
It's not there.
All right. So it's very hard for teams to market themselves. Okay.
No.
Now, our savior, basketball, okay, has been around not for that long. We can say it's a young team, okay, full of young players. Also,
2015.
Yeah, since 2015. Okay, that's about 6 or 7 years. All right.
Yeah.
Now, for a team like that and the teams in the D League, okay, what can the LLMC do to make sure that it's not the management that is marketing the teams, but it's the team themselves that start to market themselves? Because if each team becomes a product, okay, it then pushes into the whole of the division. Okay, so what are some of those things you think that the lower division teams should do, okay, to market themselves?
Of course, one of the things that you have to do is we have to utilize the media.
Yeah.
Because if you have a team like our savior, you need to use the media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, open up a page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then secondly, you must have those like live games, like what we've been doing, like games so that people can follow.
Yeah.
Like our savior have been doing that, and that's how we've even managed to get guys from New York watching the games, and they come and sponsor us. Yeah. So as teams also, you must use these media platforms.
Yeah.
Invite a few people to come for your practices, and you must have a home.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. Now for LMC, what they have actually done is they got a home. You know, you for the league to grow, you must have a home.
Yeah, that's true.
So LMC got Nakasero. So if you put Nakasero, and you know, they also got a sponsor who was streaming games live. There's one game they were streaming of our savior. So when you get a home, then start putting games online.
Yeah.
Trust me, people will come in, fans will come in.
Yeah.
Now secondly, after getting a home, of course use the media. Yeah? Come to like these talk shows we have and everything. Yeah. Then coaches, yeah, clinics, because what makes the league good is the coaches and the referees.
Yeah.
So if you have a home like where LMC had Nakasero, trust me, coaches will also up their game, and referees. And trust me, the reason why LMC was a success, or the lower division is a success, is because as a management, they got a home, everything is there, was put in place. Yeah. The coaches are trained. If you're not qualified, you don't sit on the bench. Yeah. Then the referees, there were 3 referees on the floor. So at least LMC is somewhere. And now it's up to us now, the teams, we need to put in more effort. Like you've said, we need to, how do we market? How do we go in? Maybe hire a marketing or get into partnership. Or tell them, okay, this is our team, we'll do this, so that they market. Yeah. But otherwise, if we wait for maybe government or maybe FUBA or what, we're going to still stay the same. Like as teams themselves also have to, especially these medias, these YouTube's channels and what, they will help, and they do help a lot.
It's always amazing to me that if you go to YouTube and try to search for Ugandan team to get their clips, it's almost impossible.
It's possible. So where are we going to get the money from? Or where are we going to invite sponsorship from?
That's true.
These are the little things we need to go. Yeah. Everything we have to, okay, yes, we're not yet so professional, but everything has to be run. Even as coaches, the way we run our practice session, because you might invite somebody and say, come at practice at 4 p.m. If he comes at 4 and he doesn't see players. So that's where everything starts from the players coming in, then the coaches, then we go to the game, the referee, the table officials, the whole packaging. Because right now, somebody who watched LMC, trust me, this other season, sponsors are going to come in. You've seen Livingstone, the juice.
Juice.
Yes, they're going to come in. Miracle. Like, teams are going to, Raise Life, the team we played in the semis, the church, the whole church came there. It was, so these teams are taking, they're taking steps. So if you do that, as also LMC or FUBA or NBL, also try to chip in. Trust me, sponsorship will come. Like I heard NBL will be streamed on Star Times. Trust me, if that happens, I don't know how the deal will go, then corporate companies have to come. I'm telling you, if we really want to get up there, man, we have to find ways of bringing these corporate companies into basketball. Into basketball, and that will be good for the game.
I remember there's a time way back when the games were actually being streamed on DSTV. You know, you had cameras, and at that time I think the game really grew, you know, because it had a lot of wide coverage. But if you're watching us, this is House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. This is the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk. In the house, we have Moses Okwera, that he's the senior coach, you know, head coach of our Savior Basketball. And when we return back from the break, he will be telling us what goes into making a championship team, because right now it seems he's the man with all the answers. We're going to take a break right now. Don't go anywhere. This is House of Talent Television, the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk.
Biseera byetwalina nongolera ekyokulya nondeetera kuva lwe wagenda omutima gukunoonya obuli mbeera n'endowooza oba osanga zeyakugoba mutima gukunoonya obuli mbeera n'endowooza oba osanga zeyakugoba lwali lumu lwe wagenda tewasiibula nange saamanya nalabiraawo nga kaseera ayiseewo nga sikulabako conquering lion. Liveth here. For the way I walk, the giant I lead my way. See, I know you've been searching your entire life, you've been wanting a love that's so real, love that's so true. We'll search no more, 'cause once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so pure. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so true, so true. Oh, it's deeper than the sea, goes farther than only eyes can see. Indeed, a mystery, but it's from His Majesty. It's true. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so pure. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so true, so true. Oh, no greater love than this, than that a man will lay his life for we. It beats my understanding, but oh, what a joy it brings to my heart. Your love is kind. Once you seek, you find. Faithful to love, mystical and divine, unconditional yet provisional. Your love is so royal, yes. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so pure. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so true, so true. Oh, see, I know you've been searching your entire life, you've been wanting a love that's so real, love that's so true. We'll search no more, 'cause once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so pure. Once you found Christ, everything's nice, nice. Christ's love is so true, so true. Oh.
we're at level where you can say at least I can earn something from hip hop music or from hip hop as a culture. So we're at that step now. But now finding ways you can do it is very, very important, because a business is a commercial activity. Yes. Means that if something's not commercial, it's not what? Yes. So the business. Yes, yeah. So how are you going to make it a business? That's where you have to look through, either get people to understand that most of the time start as solo artists. You find that as a solo artist, you have to do everything, everything for yourself. That era of I remember way back, some people used to say like, I'm looking for like that, like the statement "I'm looking for a manager" used to be very common then, because people used not to accept that there are no managers until you do something. For yourself. Yes, until you do something for yourself. So it used to be a common statement for artists: I'm looking for a manager. Oh, I'm looking for a manager. I have music, I'm looking for a manager. But the industry, our sector is different. You have to do something. If you sit on yourself and say you're looking for a manager, then you never get them. Because most of the managers we have in Uganda, by the way, come after an artist has blown up. He has done something. And then he's down hiring the manager. But if you're looking for a manager who's going to hire you and then invest in you, that's going to take time. So as a solo artist, you find that you have to do almost everything, and then along the way people come and support, So looking at your craft, how you can make a business out of it, either directly or indirectly, it means you need to, you have to think, but you need a team. They might not be your permanent team members, but share a word with someone like, okay, how can we make this a business?
Welcome to the Creative Industry Talk today. My name is Eddie Okela, and my guest on the program today is a poet. He's a lawyer, he's a writer, he's a theater poetry writer. That's the right, correct, title for him. Ngobi Kagai, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming, and we're grateful to have you this day on the program. Have you been?
I've been okay. We've seen better days, but here we are still hanging in there.
Yeah. And of course, starting on that lighter note, COVID-19 came and disrupted so many things around us.
Yes.
How have you been able to manage to stay afloat as an artist?
Well, the only way you can survive in a disruption is by proving to be a disruption to the force itself. And so for me, to be honest with you, the only way I've been able to survive was I had to adapt my methods of livelihood. As a person who was always performing and being always there, putting my works out there to see how people can come to theaters. Theaters were closed. Now we had to come up with new means, and that is when I went into publishing. So for me, I just started creating products for our audiences to start reading. So if previously they were watching, now we wanted them to read our stuff. They had time to be home, so there were no excuses. Yeah.
Wow. What a very fantastic turnaround on time there. I want to take this moment to welcome all of you guys to the program. The Creative Industry Talk exists for all of you creative people out there, and every creative thinker out there, every creative mind out there. This is a platform for you to share ideas, to expose your work, and to make sure that if you have work like Ngobi has said, make sure you find a new means to share it out. And this is one of the means to share it out, and we're going to definitely be showing some of his works here while we do the interview. We're live on Twitter, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Go there, share it far and wide, love it, share it with your grandmother, grandfather, cousins, sisters, everyone all across the world. And to all the guys in the diaspora who always stay awake to watch the show, we're ready to rock and roll. Ngobi,
yes.
Coming back to you.
Yeah.
If I'm seeing you for the first time and I'm wondering who you are,
yes,
what would you say is the right definition of you? Are you Ugandan? Who is Ngobi Kagai? Are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you? From the ancestry point of view, which part of this beautiful country do you come from?
Yes, thank you. I am Ugandan. I was born in Jinja. I come from Iganga district, but I was born in Jinja. See, if I call myself the book guy, you know, like every time you see Kagai, think of books. Every time you see me walk, every time you see me breathe, every time you see me talk, I want you to imagine Uganda's best literature. I want you to imagine Uganda's freshest young writers. I want you to imagine the future of the literary culture that East Africa portends.
Wow.
Yeah.
And from the family point of view, I mean, are you the firstborn, lastborn? Usually, how did you?
Those things. So I'm the firstborn for my father and mother. Yeah. But by the time those two lovebirds met, they had had children. And my mother had a daughter, and my father had a son. So I am the thirdborn for both of them, but I'm their first as well in a family of 4.
Okay.
Yes.
So growing up, how did you become a poet? First of all,
I became a poet. Me, I'm a late bloomer. I became a poet in my 3rd year at Makerere University. It was not even in the plan to be a poet or to be a writer. Me, I was humbly and diligently studying to be a lawyer. I swear, until one day, some young lady who is, to be honest, I used to fancy, tells me about poetry. And she says, Peter, if you like me, you better come and watch me perform at the National Theatre. And I said, okay, those things are for girls. Who wants to be there to start listening to flowers and stuff? But I went to the National Theatre, and man, from that time, my life changed. Because there are so many stereotypes that were debunked. First, indeed, there was a group of poets, but majority of them were guys. Secondly, there was poetry about culture, about patriotism, about Pan-Africanism, of course, about love. But there was a lot more to poetry than just things that I thought it was just about flowers. And the auditorium was packed to the brim. So I was surprised that there were people in Kampala who, like me, loved literature, loved poetry, but we didn't know that we existed. So that's when I joined the group. For me, the plan was always to be a lawyer. I was raised properly, you know, to get that white collar job. But after my 3rd year, immediately after graduation, I became a writer, because from the time that I first stepped in the theater, I knew this is where I belonged. I felt I had found myself.
Wow, what a fascinating story right there, Kagai. I want to just, you know, before we get into the lawyer point of it, was any of your parents, you know, poets or writers or teachers?
Yes.
You know, because sometimes children tend to gravitate to what is around their space.
Yes.
You know, take us through that.
No, for me, I grew up. My parents are both my parents are primary school teachers. At least now they are retired, and they were both teaching English language, and so we had so many. For me, where in the house I grew up in, our toys were books. We could destroy everything in the house except books. Our parents loved reading. They treasured books. We saw the way you see parents today on their phones every day. Now, for us in our home, our parents were always reading books. We used to fight for the newspaper every day. Every time our father would come back home, the first thing we'd fight for was the crossword puzzle. We were that kind of family. So we grew up in a family that treasured reading, that valued reading as a vocational activity. And my father, nobody really fancied poetry, but my father had poetry books. So for me, I started reading poetry when I was young, but it was a private fascination. You don't go to your friends, you know, when you're playing soccer and you start telling them, guys, first wait, I want to recite for you William Wordsworth. No. So it was something that I nurtured from home, domestically, but privately. The first time I had a chance to publicly show my love for poetry was in my 3rd year. That is when I found a group of university students who were like me, were passionate about poetry, and we were open. We could share our sentiments, and everyone was okay with that.
Wow. Well, we're talking to Kagai right here on the Creative Industry Talk. Do you have a question for him? Do you have something to say to Peter? He's the lawyer. We're going to get into the lawyer bit of it. Reading to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
And along the way, flipping to writing. It brings me to the first question. When did you first realize you wanted to actually be a writer?
Man, the first time I walked into the National Theatre stage. And for me, what attracted me to it was I was in the audience and I'd been invited by a friend of mine who I didn't know took poetry this seriously, but I sat there and I felt moved by the words these young people were speaking. As I studied literature for 6 years, I honestly had never met a Ugandan poet in blood and flesh. Yeah. I always thought writers were dead, you know? Like, by the time they are teaching your book in school, at university, you must be dead. Yeah. So the idea of coming across a writer who was alive was alien to me. So the first time I walked into that stage, I saw what these guys were writing, I felt what they were writing, and I said to myself, I want to do that. I want to have the power to write words and speak them and move audiences the way I feel I have been moved.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And how long does it take you to write a book? You've been publishing books. We're going to get into it just now. How long does it take you to write a book?
No, my first book took me 6 years. 6 years to write and 1 year to prepare for publishing. So I would say 7 years. That is, you know, taking a period of, you know, learning to find your voice as a writer, learning to find your style, you know, as a writer, learning your market, you know, as a business person, learning about the reading culture. So it took me a period of 6 years to be able to understand that if I'm ever going to produce a book and I want people to read it long after I am gone, this is what I have to do.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Ngobi, we're going to take you to this next question about flipping from the law.
Yes.
The first love being the law. And then now the second love became the first love. Have you ever practiced law? What did your parents see that you were not seeing? When you say to them, I'm going to be a writer, did your father or your mother loved it at the time? Can you take us through it? Because most times parents say, we want you to be a doctor. We want you to be an engineer. And most of those, you know, traditional parents like yours back in the days were typical teachers who lived in a career path that either a doctor or a lawyer, and I can see you're into being a lawyer.
Yeah.
What happened when you finally say, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, but I think I gravitated towards this is where I want to be? What was the reaction from your parents? Just so that we can learn from you, for somebody out there who may not know how to turn around that.
Well, first and foremost, I practiced law for only 1 week. Actually, not even 1 week. I think for 4 days of the first week, and I spent more time writing poems than, you know, than writing legal briefs. All the days that I went to court, honestly speaking, the judge and the lawyers were making submissions. I was writing poems. So at the end of the week, I had to be honest to myself, and this was a question I asked myself. But Peter, what do you really want to do with your life? You are at a law firm, but you are writing poems more than actually attending to the legal work. So why don't you? Why are you cheating yourself? So why don't you focus on this thing that you're calling your passion? Try to nurture it and stop living a fake life because you're pretending to enjoy this lawyering thing, but you are not. So I went and I talked to at the time I was still at LDC. I'd graduated, I had a bachelor's in law, and I was studying to get my practicing certificate. And we were in term 3. And so, but the time, but I was doing some practice, some paralegal work. And I said to myself, I'm not just cheating myself, but I'm also cheating my parents. They had given me tuition to pay. But I made sure I waited for my father to come back home, and my mother was already at home. So I went and I told them, I am done. I am tired. And oh, I didn't eat your school fees.
Here is the money.
Here is the cash. Yeah. I want to be a writer. Please allow me to drop out of LDC and pursue this thing. And my father asked me the same question, and they were not happy. That, to be honest,
you could see.
I could see, but then they could also understand that I wanted to do something that I wanted. So my father asked me the question, "What are you going to do now?" My answer to him was, "What am I not going to do?" And for me, because for me, I saw it as an opportunity to explore every other thing I always wanted to do with my poetry. So be it taking it to studio, be it taking it to theaters around the world, be it publishing it in books. Yeah. I felt this, I needed the time to grow, I needed the time to unlearn, I needed the time to practice my craft. And so they were not happy, but they were supportive. I mean, there are days I've gone home and I found my mother praying for my book, you know, dedicating it to, and you walk in the house and she say, "Dear God, make my son a successful writer." Yes. So wow. I recognize those efforts. Yes. that my parents and the pains that they had to go through to allow me to become the thing that I wanted to be.
Well, I mean, what would be your best advice to a parent out there? I mean, at least you took a different path altogether. You were able to go out, tell your parents, "Look, respectfully, this is not something I feel I should continue. Allow me to drop out, pursue this, as opposed to going to do law and continue with the practicing certificate and get out of this law school, go to the courtroom or go to the law firm to try and practice law. Yet you know very well that your heart was not there and you're not going to enjoy it." So you definitely navigated the turbulent waters quite very nicely with your parents. Learning from the response from your parents and the decision you made then, what would be your best advice at this particular moment to children who want to make a turnaround? I mean, COVID-19 has come and hit. There is definitely a child out there who has turned around and realized that, you know what, the things I want to do, they wanted me to do at campus, I've since found out that my abilities are here and I want to develop this, and they are watching you right now. What would be your best advice to them? Not to say they should drop off school, but to go through what you've gone through is not an easy journey.
Yes, for me, what I would, first and foremost, okay, what I would tell them is both the parent and the child or the guardian. What I would say is you have a choice to make. Either you want to invest in success or you want to invest in happiness. Yes. For me, what I have realized is I wish I cared more about the things that made me happy as a child when I was growing up, so that I even become skilled, more skilled in the things that bring me joy. I wish our society, and this for me goes to the child, to the parent, to anybody invested in education. As a society, we need to start investing more in people's interests rather than society's interests. Because society's interests are static, but individual interests evolve with interests. The way you think of a child in nursery right now, imagine thinking what they're going to be doing 10 years from now, when we don't even know what COVID is going to behave like 2 months from now. So why do we prepare people for a future that we don't even know it looks like? You see, now for all the resources that my parents invested in me being a lawyer, I eventually became a writer. And if they were not the kind of people who were raised or who in themselves were flexible enough to allow me to do, there would have been conflicts that we had. So for me, the advice that I give to parents, to the kids is this: invest in your happiness. There is nothing more important to you in your life than your own happiness. And the things that make you happy, imagine if they're the things that were making you money. Thank you.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. This gentleman is on the roll, and I so far love this first part of the interview. I am talking to Kagai Ngobi Peter, who is a poet, a theater poet, a writer, and of course is a lawyer, you know, practicing in the writing space. What a skill right there. And of course, if you have questions and answers, please drop it in there. We want to know whether you have some questions for Peter. If you're watching the show, please share it far and wide. Make sure you don't leave anyone behind. COVID-19 has come and hit, and we need to work with everyone. Stay right there. Creative Industry Talk will be right back after this break. I want to know from you, and of course somebody who's watching this show either from here or a child watching in Myanmar or wherever they're watching, or in Congo where we're watched very much, would want to know, if I don't have the money and I have the passion and I have the zeal and I have the drive, but money is also needed to start it, how do I start? Where do I go? At least for you, your father gave you 300,000 to go and do a course. We don't know whether you spent the whole school fees or you only spent 1 month, took part of the school fees. What happened? How did you start, your fashion? Did you get money from somewhere? How should one start if I want to start? And I was like Kasozi.
I think we should try to be close to people who love what we do, basically. Yeah. Because even me, I managed to skip from that low level to another level because I had networks. Yes. Just me, a mere meeting Gloria Wavamuno changed my mind. Because I used to be Muyayona Street. So someone introduced me to Gloria Wavamuno, that I'm good, me I didn't know. Then, I lost my phone like over 2 months. Yes. So surprisingly, I got a text from Gloria. Customers have been looking for you over the last 3 months. Then my mind was like, the daughter of a tycoon is looking for me. I was even moving on Loom Street. Yes. So that changed my mind and started respecting myself a bit. Like, somehow I'm important. If someone important
is looking for me,
that's opened my mind and started to know that I need to be serious, have a skill, have a business, and also work more with my fashion, because by then I was still an amateur. Yeah. So I never had money to go to buy books, and no designer could invite me, So I got to know basically all the knowledge through Aristotle, but I couldn't afford any book. I could go open and feed the mind. I move out, I make notes before I forget. Yes. Yeah.
you're alive, it's easy to forget that you die, or even that death actually exists. Beyond wreaths, caskets and cemeteries encountered seasonally. You cannot feel the sting of death anymore. You believe such things are reserved for others, the unwanted stepchildren of gods who did not exist anyway. When you're young, it's easy to forget that you grow old, that you lose the smooth texture of skin or the milky white of eye, that you're beautiful. Black flocks of hair shall grow one day, and your heart will grow weary with lack of ambition. You forget that one day you lose the spring of step and the innocence of youth. You lose the liberty to dream dreams and the lifetime to chase them. You forget that you grow bold, bent and bitter. When you're healthy, well sane and strong, it's easy to forget the pain of illness, the physical pain and the mental pain, the anguish of immobility, the dread of impending death, and the insane lasting afterlife itself. When you're born in Kampala, it's easy to forget the deprivation of rural childhood. When you're bread and buttered bread and frozen milk, it's easy to forget the hard-corn cobwebs welcoming the toddler in Morocco to yet another day every day. When you're perpetually conflicted between beef and mutton for dinner, it's easy to forget the thousands of fellow citizens out there who've been constantly unsure of their next meal from the day they left the womb. If the toughest read in your life has been choosing between Buddha and Namagunga for your high school education, it's easy to forget that 70% of the nation's children do not have the chance of knowing the meaning of the boring word blackboard. When you're alive, it's easy to forget that you'll die. When you're safe, sound, fat and pampered in your gated and manicured suburban homes, it's easy to forget that the masses of Ugandans out there can only manage half the night's sleep, wooing to incessant battles with mosquitoes, bedbugs, and stomach grumbling from emptiness. When you've gained admission to Makerere, it's easy to forget that you were once mortal, that the blood in your veins isn't of blue hue, and that your arteries are not pipes of gold-plated steel. When you're young, it's easy to forget that you grow old, and surely you'll die. When you're young, when all you think of is girls and boys and toys, a good job, money to spend and life to live, it's easy to forget that your country needs you. That by sitting there and wishing for good times, by refusing to involve yourself in efforts to right the wrongs of society, you're effectively betraying your country. When you're young, it's easy to forget that by not speaking for justice and writing for justice and walking and marching for justice, you're effectively as guilty as the corrupt robbing public funds, as guilty as those parasitic politicians for killing pregnant mothers due to lack of medicines in hospitals, as guilty as those reactionaries for selling the soul of Uganda to force yonder. It's easy to forget.
Welcome back from that break. That is what we call poetry right there. That is Kagai Peter Ngobi's work at Nabisunsa Girls, one of the traditional schools in Kampala in Uganda, one of the strongest schools, girls' schools in the eastern part of Africa, right here in Kampala, right here in Uganda. And you can see what this gentleman is doing with the poetry clubs in Nabisonsa Secondary School, and we're going to see a little bit more about that. Peter, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
I want to encourage everyone, first of all, to send in their kisses and disses to you. Those who have to send kiss.
Bring.
Yes, but I want to take you straight, Peter. Welcome back to the program. Peter, our topic today is, I'm going to ask the team to put it up there for everyone out there, is looking at defining and distinguishing poetry, prose, and drama in Uganda and beyond borders. I will repeat this. Defining and distinguishing poetry, prose being style, and drama in Uganda and beyond borders. Now, always when we talk about this, you of course have a very elaborate, write-up there. If you look at your, the first work which you brought out was Romeo and Juliet in Kampala. We want to know what inspired that. Was that your first work? And while you throw in a little bit about those three things that we've talked about, defining, of course, and distinguishing the difference between the prose, the drama, and of course
the poetry.
The poetry in behind it. So many times we don't know which one is which, and we want people to understand from the creative industry talk what this really is about. We're talking about defining that moment, given the COVID-19 situation, given the education system that have been completely, down for the last 2 years, and we're being told that suddenly there's a possibility that we're not going to open, come 2022 or thereabout. And COVID is throwing a lot of things there, but dive into it.
Well, so distinguishing prose poetry and drama.
Yes.
This is an academic question.
Yes.
So let me just be frank with it. So we have literature. Literature can easily simply be defined as the creative expressions of a given culture, of a given people. And it is normally done through writing, through singing, through speaking. Now, literature is that creative expression that focuses on the written word. As you hear the word itself, literature, literate, meaning to write. Now, we are going to restrict ourselves to three things. So we talked about prose, we talked about poetry, we talked about drama. Now, prose is that kind of creative expression that is more elaborate. It is more elaborate. So if you're reading a novel, if you're reading a short story, if you're reading a biography, that falls within if you're an essay. That is in a form of prose. Now, poetry is more rhythmic. It is briefer, and in most cases we use a lot of descriptive and colorful language. So, if you look at a novel and a poem, what a novel can say in 200 words, a poem can say in 1 page. Now, those are the differences between the poetry.
That's the difference between these.
Yes. Now, when it comes to drama, the way you hear the word, drama is language in action. Language in action. So drama is that kind of written literature where you capture characters talking. But from what they talk, for you the reader or the listener, you can infer what is taking place. So drama is always takes place when characters are either talking to themselves or they're talking to others. Now, as Kagai, I have had the chance of practicing all the three. I have written some prose, I've written some poetry, and I've written some drama. Now, it is the drama that you wanted me to comment about, Romeo and Juliet in Kampala. So my friends and I wrote a play. We're a team of 6. Now we're a team of. We started out at 6, but now we are 5. There is a poet who is myself. There is a percussionist, a drummer. Now he's in Brazil, but he's Ugandan. There is a break dancer, Abraham Stecher. There is a big girl, and there is an actor called Biamukama. And we came together, people from different, even when we were doing art, people from different walks of life. Yes, that's the guy. Now imagine Abraham being Romeo, being part of the play. And this time, we've asked him, rather than fight, but to break dance. So we came together and we wrote a play called Romeo and Juliet in Kampala. We imagined Romeo and Juliet were living in Kampala, and the story was a Kampala story. So what happens? So we wrote it in 2019. We staged it here in Kampala, and then also staged it in Germany and we did it again this year at the Afri-Cologne Festival. We basically Ugandanized Shakespeare. We Ugandanized the story. Then I've also worked on other plays like Arrest the Poem, which we featured at the Baimba International Festival in 2018. We wrote another play called Tokubatota. Tokubatota was also featured at the Bimba International Festival in 2017. And then I wrote a one-man play called The Audience Must Say Amen. That one was adapted from my poetry book, the first one that I published, called The Headline That Morning. And it also featured at the Kampala International Festival and also the Africolon. Somehow the Africolon Festival loves my works. Yes. To the writers out there, for me, what I would want to advise you is that when you are a writer, in as much as it is important to know your voice and to know your niche, it's also more important to also be flexible. Now, for me, as Kagai, my poems have been adapted into drama, you know, where even when you are writing a poem, you don't remain rigid and say, for me, I only wrote my poems, they are supposed to be published, they cannot be performed. I think as an artist, you must allow your works to grow beyond you. Team up with visual artists and see what pictures they can draw out of your poems. Team up with fashionistas, see what kind of costumes they can develop. With songwriters, see what kind of songs they can develop. Because if you don't allow your literature to grow, then it cannot feed you. And for the times that we are living in like these, for these COVID times we are living in, it's very important that as artists we allow our works to grow into all the genres that they can grow into. So if you're a poet out there and you write your poems and you keep them in your books and then, you know, put the book under the pillow, let me tell you, that is not a place where your poems should be. Your poems should be outside there with musicians. They should be with the graphic artists, you know. They should be with fashion designers. They should be with theater directors, so that you can allow them to become products that are beyond just, you know, poems on a page.
Wow. On that note, Peter Kagai, we want you to just give us an understanding of the three things that you have talked about in a poem.
In a poem.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. On the spontaneous, if you're looking at, if I want to see the good example of prose, of a definition defining and distinguishing between the poem, the prose, and the drama.
Yes.
Yes. I know you match three of them in one go.
Yeah.
We're going to put you in a spotlight just so that somebody out there can actually understand exactly, practically what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Here is Peter, and we want to hear from you. If you're a poet, if you're a drummer, if you're a writer, please. I think that Peter is giving you something very interesting. Let's dive into it right now.
Someone ran very fast and tell someone is in trouble. Someone ran very fast and tell someone is in trouble. Someone ran very fast and tell someone is in trouble. But before you go, turn your ear towards the night sky and hear the sound of the raging storm. Hear the vociferous fury. The Sandra Brigade is seething as it comes together to march in a single force. Someone ran very fast and announced the trouble. Someone ran very fast and tell someone is in trouble. Ensana fuziridde kalala nkoma omusana gwakira ku bikuku jju enkoko za KFC twazirisiza nkuku nyina makovu. The rumor is ripe for harvest and the village has gathered to know. Someone ran very fast and announced the trouble.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Peter. Peter, I mean, we're learning quite a bit from you on the creative industry talk. I want to take you straight to my next question. What is your work schedule like when you are actually writing these plays? Because there's another thing, what frame of mind must you be in, or must I be in when I'm writing? You've been writing for some time. You've been across the borders, across Europe, across Americas. What has been the experiences you pick from there And what is your schedule like when you're writing? What kind of frame of mind should one be in, or are you always in when you're writing to put this beautiful work out there?
I think now I can recognize it. I can say there are two frames of mind that I'm always in. One, there is when I am writing work to be performed. And I am deliberate about, I envision the audience that I'm going to be with. Perhaps I even already have the contract and I'm told, you write this play or write this poem, it's supposed to be for this purpose. And I put myself to that target. And so that influences the decisions you make. For example, the books I'm going to buy to read, because that is where, for me, the resources go in research. Who should I consult about this particular topic that I'm supposed to be writing about or performing about? So there is that frame of mind. But then there's also the frame of mind of the leisure writer who is with friends and then someone makes a joke and then it tickles your mind. And so where you are writing for yourself, you're not really writing to deliver. You're just writing a beautiful kind of work. So for me, there are two types of frames of mind. So for the very first one, I have a process. And for me, the process is, I take it like an assignment. So I'm going to write about a topic, I write the topic down. I ask myself about in what languages do I want it to be, I take note of that. What other ideas do I want to explore? What are the themes I want to explore in this particular topic? I write them down. Who has written about them? I go and buy those books. It could be an academic book, it could be a drama book, it could be a novel, it could be a poetry book. So then I start reading about that topic. Then in the process of reading about it, I am listening to what people are saying, I'm listening to the radio, I'm watching TV, I'm on social media, try to tap into the vibe of what are the people saying or thinking about this. Then, and that could sometimes take a period of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Then after 2 weeks of reading and researching and listening to people, then I start writing the poem. There is that deliberate process. Yeah. Then for the second stage where I'm writing for myself and I'm really writing about what inspires me, that I can do anytime, any day. In fact, sometimes I task myself to say, you know what, yes, I want to write 100 poems this month. And it doesn't matter whether they're going to be the best poems or not. For me, what I want is my deliverables at the end of the month. Yeah. At the end of 30 days, I must have written 3 poems every day. So you write a poem and I say, I'm going to write a poem when I wake up. I'm going to write a poem after I've had my lunch. I'm going to write a poem before I sleep. And I'm going to just be writing about the things that are happening in my day. So you sort of document your life, or you make a diary of your life through poems. Yeah. And these are things you're not going to share with anyone, things that you may not even like. So, but what I recognize most importantly is that the moment I decided to become a writer, I said this is my 9 to 5. The same way a lawyer wakes up, an engineer wakes up, they leave work, they go to one office, they have a boss they account to, they have deliverables at the end of the month. I, as a writer, even when I'm my own boss, I have to give myself deliverables.
Which is disciplined.
That discipline is key. I know so many people who decided to become writers because they are lazy. They didn't want to go and do other things and they thought they could just get away with it. So they come into this world, yes, of creative writing and they slack. Yes. Guys who write 1 book in 6 years, wow, they write 3 poems and they recite 3 poems for 5 years. And you're wondering, where is your effort going? And you're still wondering why creatives are broke. We need to put ourselves to that question and ask ourselves, what are we doing to make sure that we produce more and more and more and more and more and more and more? Because it is in producing this a lot, that we can get the best, yeah, out of our generation. Wow. If even when we say these are our talents, yeah, it should not be an excuse for us to avoid the hard work. Yeah. We keep saying that, writing is 1% inspiration, yeah, and 99% perspiration. You see, in fact, we write more, we find ourselves writing more when when we are less inspired than when we are inspired.
Right.
If you're going to wait for inspiration to hit you to write, you're not a writer. You are a waiter. Writers write. Like lawyers, lawyer, and engineers, engine things, doctors. We writers write. Whether you like it or not, whether you're unwell or not, whether you're broke or not, it's what you do. So the most important thing is to come up with a routine that's going to make sure that you keep producing. You keep, the Irish people say, here in Uganda we say you are as broke as a poet.
Yes.
The Irish say you are, in Uganda we say you're broke you're as poor as a church mouse.
As church mouse, yes.
The Irish say you're as poor as a poet. So, unless we want to keep in that vicious cycle of poverty, of writers or artists always complaining to our government here to Yambe, if we want to break that cycle, we have to also break our cycle of indolence. Yes. We have to be prolific. We have to come up with routines that push us to keep producing more and more and more and more. Because that's what our economy needs.
Wow. Peter, hold it right there. We're going to go for a break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, talking to Peter Kagai, who is a poet, and he is a writer, a lawyer. I think I love what he's saying, that if you're a writer, if you continue to sit and don't write and wait for inspirations to write, you are a waiter. That's the line for the day today. Stay right there. I'll be right back after this break. I want to know from you, and of course somebody who's watching this show either from here or a child watching in Myanmar or wherever they're watching, or in Congo where we're watched very much, would want to know, if I don't have the money and I have the passion and I have the zeal and I have the drive, but money is also needed to start it, how do I start? Where do I go? At least for you, your father gave you 300,000 to go and do a course. We don't know whether you spent the whole school fees or you only spent 1 month, took part of the school fees. What happened? How did you start, your fashion? Did you get money from somewhere? How should one start if I want to start? And I was like Kasozi.
I think we should try to be close to people who love what we do, basically. Yeah. Because even me, I managed to skip from that low level to another level because I had networks. Yes. Just me and Mia meeting Gloria Wavamuno changed my mind. Because I used to be Muyayona Street. So someone introduced me to Gloria Wavamuno, that I'm good, me I didn't know. Then, I lost my phone like over 2 months. Yes. So surprisingly, I got a text from Gloria. Customers have been looking for you over the last 3 months. Then my mind was like, the daughter of a tycoon, is looking for me. I was even moving on Loom Street.
Yes.
So that changed my mind and started respecting myself a bit. Like, somehow I'm important. If someone important
is looking for me,
that's opened my mind and started to know that I need to be serious, have a skill, have a business, and also work more with my fashion, because by then I was still an amateur.
Yeah.
So I never had money to go to buy books, and no designer could invite me, So I got to know basically all the knowledge through Alistock, but I couldn't afford any book. I could go open and feed the mind. I move out, I make notes before I forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
We sit in the darkest corner of my vast mind. Rhymes, metaphors, and I. A friendship for 15 years and a million demons we share. Our feet shackled together. Today is just another day in prison. Another failed attempt to escape this compulsion. Compelling my resistance to this attraction of paper and pen. The urge to pick up this ink and stain this white is overwhelming. An agonizing ecstasy. My mind brimming and bursting at the seams with words and sentences. Drowning me, choking me with desire to write. So dark, so painful, so sweet, allowing me no peace until these words are allowed to flow from the gooey matter of my brain. Through my veins, out of my fingers, into this pen, through the ink with which I jot this down. In this moment, I realize I've become a prisoner of my talent. Yes, I say talent not with vanity, I say talent because in days such as this, it ceases to be a privilege. It turns into a jail cell I've tried to break from, but each time I attempt to escape, I fall right back harder. Now I realize this was never my decision to make or to change. I am part of a separate entity of spirits who live by the pen. We teach, we correct, we rearrange, we give thoughts, opinions, and ideas wings with which to fly. And so, at a time like this, when these emotions are running high and screaming for release, and my entire being feels like was created for this, I know that this is not a gift. This is an obligation.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, talking to Mr. Peter Kagai, who is a poet, a writer, a theater writer, and a drama writer. That's the man in the studio today on Creative Industry Talk. Peter, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
I want to just remind everyone out there that we are live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go there, share it far and wide. And I want to take a moment, Peter, to just read a couple of questions coming in from people in the diaspora here. I'll start with one person in Germany. Eddie Okela, thank you very much for bringing my OB to the show. That guy, I was with him in school, and the stories talked about is true. He's always been a bookwormer. Not little wonder he's ended up as a writer.
OB, yes, what's up? Good to hear from you.
Yes, and another one here says, I got another lady here called Susan, all the way in the US. I stayed up the moment I watched, and I read that Peter was coming onto the program. Thank you very much. Busoga, oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
And of course, I want to read 2 or 3 more questions. There's somebody in London says, Eddie Okela, thank you very much for bringing Mr. Peter Kagai on the show. I'm a writer, and I wish we could amplify what Peter just said before we went for a break. We writers are always lazy. Those who say they are writers and cannot write constantly or cannot even write 3 or 4 pages daily are not writers. A writer worth their salt must always write at least 3 poems a day. And if you are writing a book, you must not go more than 2 years without writing a book. In a year, you should have written at least 2 books, even if you have not published. Wow.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
We got some writers out there who are coming. This one is coming from the British Council in Kampala. My name is Susan. I work with British Council in Kampala. Thank you very much. I know that guy. He's a great, talented guy. We've worked with him before. Shout out to Peter Ngobi. The words, man, if you are not a writer, if you're waiting for inspiration, you're a waiter. I don't want to be a waiter anymore. Well, Peter, I guess we got some love coming out from people there. You know, share your kisses and this is coming to us. We want to hear it. I've got a very strange Ugandan sending a message from Denmark, one of the universities there. I live and work in Denmark, and of course, I'm a Ugandan, but thank you very much, Peter, for coming to the show today. I love what you're saying. I think if we continue to amplify our voice to say, instead of waiting for government to yambe, creatives should always hold their power back. That's what Peter is saying. A creative mind is a mind that is bigger than a politician. Politicians are not creative. They use the creatives to move forward. What Peter is saying is true. So why then are we waiting for these guys to tell us what to do? Yet we should be telling them what to do. In our writing, you can write a poem, you can write a story to address your member of parliament or your LC or whoever you want, or the leader in your society, and they will listen to you because people will always relate to what you are saying, which they usually don't pick attention to. Thank you very much, Creative Industry Talk, for bringing such great, interesting minds to the show. Peter, over to you. I think you can see that a lot of people were reaching out, are talking about the same thing, making this possible and allowing this opportunity to come to people. I want to take you to your next question as we hasten to the close of the show. Peter, what would you say is your interesting writing quirk?
What quirk?
Yes.
Oh, what do you mean quirk? If you don't mind me asking.
The word quirk is Quirk. Ah. Yes, the one that you poets likes to use the most.
Quirk.
Yes. What is your most interesting, you know, what I would say, the most interesting writing time of the day?
I'll break it down that way, yes. Okay, I write anytime.
Okay.
The point is, when do I edit?
That's where you've got the quirk,
yes. My quirk is at 3 a.m.
Okay.
I believe in the night. I believe in the quietness. When the dog feels like the world is fast asleep, and you know you attend. I mean, when silence speaks to you. Yeah. But for me, the effort in writing, actually, the great work in writing is not in the writing itself. It is in the polishing of the writing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can even write a poem right now, off air. I can think of lines, but now the whole idea of now, you know, interrogating the thoughts, you know, developing the patterns you wanted to have. You know, thinking of, you know, the listening audience, all those. 3 a.m.
Wow. And my next question is, how do books get published? This is a question that came in from somebody. A viewer wrote and say, can you ask him how do books of poets get published?
Let me just break down. Okay, two ways. There is self-publishing, and then there is traditional publishing. Self-publishing is where the writer wants to do it themselves. You want to be in control of the production process from the word get-go up to the end point. So from the word get-go, I mean from preparing the manuscript to printing the book at the end of it all. So, but the processes are simple. So you develop a manuscript. Now, according to Makerere University, and I'm giving a standard that at least is that can be publicly interrogated. According to Makerere University, your manuscript should have about 30 poems. At least 30 poems. Then after that, you take the work to an editor. And then that editor is the person who helps you to polish it up to make sure that it is legible and it is worthy being consumed by readers.
Yes.
Then after that, the book is the manuscript is forwarded to the designers, the layout designers and cover and designers and illustrators if you wanted to have some pictures. Then you have to go to the Uganda Society Library to get the international standard book number. It is only 30,000 shillings. It is that barcode that each book should have, so that it can be internationally sold in all public places and be catalogued in all libraries. Then after that, the book goes to printing. You have to find the appropriate printers for you. And of course, there are the proofreaders that you also have to hire. Then after the book has been printed, now the book has to be sold to the market. So now thinking about distributing the book and making and giving it visibility. And that's it. Now that is a process that you can do as an individual. You can hire people to give you those services. You can even have your own logo that you'd want to attach to your books. There is that. The second process is where you find a publisher who does this work on a daily, and what you do is you sell them your manuscript, or you come up with a legal arrangement where you become co-owners of the copyright in that work.
Wow. Peter, there's a book up there called The God Prayers.
Yes.
Can you take us through The God Prayers and actually give us one of the poem in that book?
So The God Prayers is a poetry collection written by Ita Patience Mbeki. Mbeki she's now a PhD student at Makerere Institute of Social Research. But by the time we published it, she was a teacher at King's College, Bududu. So what we were doing then was promoting literature among young people by encouraging their teachers to also write.
Wow.
Because the idea was, if the students see their teachers publishing, then they would also want to they'll be more confident to also think of taking on publishing. Unfortunately, I don't have all the poems in that book offhand, but I can tell you about a poem there that I like. There is a poem in there that I like that is called of absentee wives and mothering housemaids, where she is an author. She is a woman who is talking about, why I like this poem, she's talking about how the modern day woman today has abandoned her domestic responsibilities to the house help. You know? And so and you see how house helps become wives and mothers in their homes, where they're replacing the role of actually the wife, because the wife has also become a man. So I really liked that poem in that book.
And in the next book, which you have out there, I mean, if you just put that book up quickly, Ungodly Hour. What do you mean by Ungodly Hour? And what is this? This is a Kitara Nation Poetry Series 4.
Yes, now, Ungodly Hour, this is a collection of poems by students from Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga. Like I said, this project that we're running of publishing these books was about promoting the culture of publishing. There is literature taught in schools, but the culture of publishing is not there. So for us, we wanted to make books cool. We wanted to make publishing cool. So this is a book that we published from Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga, and Ungodly Hour is one of the poems in there. And the poem itself, as you can see the cover, it is an hourglass, and there seems to be a lost soul that is drowning. And in that poem, these teenagers are talking about the things that they do at home at night when their parents are asleep. You know, so the book talks about the drugs that they take, you know, the nightlife that they have that their parents do not know, and
because they are soul searching.
Yes, because they are soul searching. It's talking about this darkness that they grow up with, that their parents don't ever get to see, because when their parents see them, they are seeing them going to church and they think these are holy people. Yet ultimately they have these demons that they are fighting, and they come out at night. They come out at that ungodly hours.
Wow. Let's talk about the poetry bungalow.
Now, these are students of Seta High School, Mukono. And again, from the same idea, promote the culture of publishing among young people, give them the confidence to know that your words are valuable. That they are worthy of being published in a book and read and taught and loved by others. So Poetry Bungalow was that project that we did at Seta High. And for them now, what we found interesting about these poems is now Poetry Bungalow is this is a mixed school. So the poems that we have in here talk about the artificial relationships that students develop in mixed schools, where the school tells you you should not mix with boys. It's a mixed school, but boys sit the other side, girls sit this side.
We went through it in a Seventh-day Adventist school. Very strict. No, there's always a line drawn in between here, boys. You cross, you get enough stroke. Continue.
Yes, I'm telling you. And this book actually interrogates that culture. So there are these poems that talk about how students live in plastic atmospheres where they are always competing with each other, comparing each other's flaws, and not willing to help each other grow. And yet they're living in an environment that is not allowing them to express themselves honestly.
Poetry Bungalow.
That's the Poetry Bungalow.
Wow. Well, if you're joining us, as a Creative Industry Talk, we're talking to Mr. Peter Kagai Ngobi, who is a poet, a theater poet, a drummer, a lawyer, and is the man who is the publisher's world. He is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the Kitara Nation, right? And you can see the work of Kitara Nation right out there, showing far and wide. Peter, I want to ask a question coming from the viewer up here that says, thank you very much, Peter, for that answer on the publishing. That's really good. I wish we could have people talk more about this for young writers like some of us. I didn't even know that you have to go through this. It looks so very elaborate, but thank you. My question goes to Peter. Where do you get your information or ideas for your books, Peter?
The
viewer is asking, where do you get your, where do you get your information or ideas for? I guess she's saying, how do you develop your ideas? So I know we talked about it, but you could throw more light on it again.
Everything comes from research. Research and reading. And probably this is what they mean. The process of, when I write a poem, I'm not thinking about writing. Okay, the process of compiling a book is not the same process of compiling a poem. When I'm compiling a book, I'm getting a collective of my thoughts I have gathered over time, and I want you to know me through my poems I have written. So that means that first thing that I have to consider is what are my interests? What are the things that speak to me when I'm writing? Because when you want people to know you, you want them to know you about the things that are personal to you. So that's the first thing you consider. Second thing you consider is who is going to read? In what language do they speak? In what language do you write? So I am a Musoga, but right now I mostly write in English language. So when I'm putting my books together, I know that I am targeting English language readers. Where do I find them? How do I find them? How do I market to them? So you think about, for me, most importantly, a book, even a poetry book, it is a storybook. Any book you put together, why they call that book a page turner is because whatever you put on that page is going to encourage that person to open the other page, to go deeper and deeper. So you have to be careful on what you put on the first page, the second page, the third, the fourth, because it must be connected from the first cover to the next
cover. Eddie, thank you very much. Just before you end the show, can you please ask Peter, when did he first publish his first book and how old were you?
No, I first published when I was, I first published when I was 29. My first book, the headline that morning. It was the first book myself published. But before that, my friends in the Lantern Meet had published. I'm a late
Daniel
Nuamanya.
Daniel Mutembesa.
Wonderful. That generation.
I have been around that circle.
Surprised. I'm surprised. So our first book was in 2012. And by that time, I was already out of campus. It was called Broken Voices of the Revolution. Now, the first book I worked on with my own hands was in 2013. It was for my students at Nabisunza Girls School. They were in S4, and we published for them a book.
And then I have a last question here, which is coming and saying that, what do you like to do when you are not writing, Peter?
When I'm not writing,
Yes.
what do I like to do?
Yes.
What do I like to do? Anyway,
we know you're already not practicing law when you're not writing.
No,
yes,
I
yes.
am. When I'm not writing, I am reading. If I'm not reading, I am watching. I am blessed to be a publisher. So either I'm reading other people's works, or I am scouting for talent. So I'm going through social media looking for writers to publish. My work is, honestly speaking, I am a writer. I
Yes.
do 99% of my life. I'm either writing or reading.
Yes, and as we hasten to the close, before we take, the next steps of question about, being on stage and performing on stage, Peter, what does one, or rather, what was one of the most, surprising thing that you learned in creating your books, or creating books for others, or writing books for others? What's the most surprising thing that you can talk about as a publisher, as a writer, as a poet? Yes,
those ones are many.
Remember, we're talking about defining and distinguishing. I think the poet, the prose, and the drama in it.
I think there are quite a number of surprising things.
Yes.
One is, don't ever expect your friends to support you.
Yes.
I think the biggest mistake you can ever make as a writer is to listen to people tell you, hey, you publish, we shall buy. Me, I'll buy 100 books.
Yes.
Me, I'll buy 10.
Yes.
And then you bring the book, and then that's when they remember,
Yeah.
I have bills to pay. I think for me, the biggest lesson I have learned in publishing is ultimately, if you want to make this a career, and you want it to be a success, avoid marketing to friends and family.
Okay.
Because you first and foremost will avoid disappointment, and that disappointment that brings disillusionment.
Yes, yes.
So when you're target strangers. We see how you go to a show and you don't expect to see only family and friends.
Yeah.
The people that turn up are the people that matter. Yeah. So for me, because all over time I've been producing books and wanting my friends, but your friends are your friends not because, your friends like you because of you.
Yeah.
Not because you are a writer. So when you try to force your passion on them, it might even distance them. I have siblings who have never read my books. And we meet every day, but reading is not their thing. So if I become emotional and I'm like, yo, Enoch, you're my kid, bro, you're not even buying my book, then I'm actually killing off a market and giving off a wrong vibe.
Yeah.
But if I target the reader, who is a stranger, but that person who loves reading, then that person is always even going to help me grow my business, because they're going to market me to other readers. Yeah. So I learned that very fast. Yes. Avoid the obvious. Avoid thinking that your friends will support you, your family will support. They love you as you, not because of you. In fact, they don't even understand your art things. So look for the people that art. And for me, by the way, this is very important, because most of us get frustrated when we don't see our friends supporting our hustle. It is not that they don't want to support us. These things are not for them. They also have their own passions. Yes. So I learned that. Secondly,
third, actually.
Money. I want to talk about money.
Yes, third is the money, yes.
Whether you like it or not, you will not escape the question of resources.
Yeah.
And you must have answers.
And you can't produce all these things without resources.
You must have, no, God is, look, unless you're going to wait for manna and quail to drop from heaven, but you must provide the answer to that. No one else is going to.
Yeah.
Don't think that there is someone with a basket of money waiting to just dish it to you. So you have to lobby. You have to know who to talk to in the industry. You have to know why it's important to start companies, why it's important to, to have a tax identification number, why it is important for you to know where to get the Uganda registration services, the Euro holograms. You need to know the business. You need to know the industry, so that way you can know who to go to when you need that particular kind of help. Without that, you'll keep on writing in the dark, and that's why your writing will stay.
Talking of that, Peter, we are coming to that part of the show that is really very interesting, and I love what you have said, that the three things I picked from you. Number one, you must love what you're doing. Number 2, you must not force your friends to love what you're doing. Target those who you know are going to buy. Know your readers.
Yes.
And if you know that these are the readers, these readers, when they pick, they will pick and give it to another reader, and they will recommend, and that will be number 3. You talk about money being key. You are not going to write these things for no money, and if you don't have the money, you cannot produce this. And if it is not sellable, then your friends won't buy it, however good you are. Because Sylvester told us here, look into your phone numbers. We had Sylvester Kabombo here last week, and he talks about if you look into your phone book and you don't find 50 people who can buy your ticket to come to the concert, then you are expecting the festival people to bring you in or the promoter to bring you in, yet you yourself can't have 100 people. Then you need to go and delete your phone book or stopped. If not, go back and start all over again and make sure you create that from there. That's a big lesson we're picking from there. It's all about resources, because the artists have struggled and have failed. Peter, as we close the show, let's talk about your first time on stage in Kampala. You have been working with Bayimba and doing some stuff with Bayimba and training with Bayimba. You know, we talk about the schools. But let's talk about what opportunity did Bayimba actually present to you. And when we talk about Bayimba as the foundation, and you said the first time you performed there, what was the experience like? Take us through, and what have you been doing to try and leave your legacy in that space?
Yo, Bayimba changed my life. Literally, it changed my life. And Bayimba, I'd always known about Bayimba for a while, and Bayimba had known about me as well. I was part of a poetry group called the Lantern Meet of Poets, and so between 2010 and 2014, Bayimba used to feature us at the various festivals. In 2014, I went solo, and I started, and I was still at Nabisusa at the time, and wanted to do a poetry festival. And I reached out to Bayimba for help. And Bayimba told me, you know, Peter, one day we shall help you. Maybe you're not in the position to do so. Then in 2016, I'd started Kitara Nation. And this is after I spoke directly to Faizo Chiwewa. I was young then. I was just from law school. I wanted to figure out this thing. And he tells me, Peter, you know what? If you want to figure this industry, we need structures. You know, as poets, you need to create organization. You need to create structures which can also other organizations can interact with. So my friends and I started Kitara Nation, and through Kitara Nation, Bayimba managed to link us to Africalia, and that's how we got our first grant that we used between 2017, actually up to 2020 to 2021, to promote poetry programs in schools. And then between that time, between 2016 and 2021 also, we had an opportunity to present, to make theater poetry productions at the various Bayimba Festival editions. So it was not even no longer just one call. Now it was contractual. Every year, Kitara Nation had to create a theater poetry product to be showcased at the Bayimba Festival. And
this is what we're seeing here on stage.
Yes, and those are the young poets that we worked with from schools, and now they are at the festival. In fact, in one of the slides, you will see my mother on stage with us.
Wow.
Because we also said, no, it's not enough for us to just be working together. Let us invite our parents to come through as well. So for me, the first thing that Bayimba, as I said, for me as an artist individually, it helped me recognize the importance of structures, the importance of the importance of coming together as with young poets, for us to be able to create companies that will help us deal with other organizations. Secondly, Bayimba gave us the platform to showcase our various talents.
So was this also still at Bayimba?
Yes, that's still at Bayimba. The poet with a cape is a poet we found from Busoga College, Muiri. And you can see there is a guitarist just behind him playing. So for us, we believe in song poetry, so merging music and poetry. And here he was we were doing a theater. This is actually Arrest the Poem. We were doing it at Lunkulu Festival. Next to him is Luce the poet. At the time, he had dropped out of school and he had nothing to do. And so he felt he wanted to be a poet, and he didn't have to go through the challenges some of us had to go through. And he came to join us. Next to him is Don Wanyama. Don Wanyama was the head prefect at Busoga College, Muiri, that year. And him with the gentleman with the cape at the back they are the people who took school poetry to Busoga.
Yes.
You know, after this project. Next to them, you don't see the face, the guy with the kanga.
Yes.
He's called Nifrod Odot.
Yes.
For him, he was a poet from Namilyango College. So after this project, he also went back to Namilyango College and started a poetry club. So this is how the project has been running. And now that is the legend himself, Daniel Omara. Daniel Omara started, he was at St. Mary's College, Chisubi at that time. He started over 5 poetry schools before he went to Russia to study medicine and also start a poetry club at his university there.
Wow.
So these are the young people that we've been working with, and through Bayimba we have been able to give them a platform to first and foremost see that they are talented, and that secondly their words can give them monetary value, because some of them are now doing this as a career.
Wow. When you talk about this, what would be your best advice to a young poet out there as we close the show? What kind of platform do they look for? Where do we find you? How does one interact with you? And how do we connect with you at Kitara? What's the best advice you can give us today that when we go and think through it with this COVID-19 pandemic situation and endemic situation that we're in, and the confusion surrounding COVID-19, the uncertainty that lies ahead of us, how does an artist, a poet, stand out tomorrow to say, yes, I can continue to move with this hope and it is possible? And how do I get my work to the hands of people who may not know I exist? Like the same way you got to Faizo, how would we get there on Bayimba? Yeah.
Thank you. For me, what the advice I would give to any young poet out there is the advice that I wish somebody gave me. In fact, someone gave me and I rejected it. Learn your craft. Professionalize early. Learn how to professionalize early. It doesn't matter whether you're 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. Learn how to be a professional writer. How do professionals behave? Who do they know? Secondly, invest in knowing the people in your industry. You might be shy. Some of us choose to write because we are shy. We don't know how to express ourselves. And now here I am telling you, go out there and be confident. Be deliberate about growing your reputation and growing your profile as a writer. And that includes talking to people or reaching out to people or researching about people who will help you improve on your profile. But even that is something that you don't just wake up one day and know how to do. Go to the University of YouTube. Learn. Teach, self-educate yourself about marketing, about creative writing. Know the best-selling books out there right now. Know the trends. Know your industry. Know the people. Know the people, because knowledge is the only resource that you have right now that will make you that dream. Every time you put that pillow down and you imagine yourself being as even bigger than Shakespeare or being bigger than Okot Pabitek, that thing that's going to push you is in the ability to be able to let people see your talent, to be able to argue and demonstrate your talent to everyone else. And it won't come from you just writing and putting your poems back in your book and then hiding them in your pillow. You have to be at the forefront of your career.
Finally, Peter, 2021 is coming to a close. We're going into a new year. You've been collaborating with Bayimba Foundation. What plans do we have, in the days ahead, if any, and you want to share with us? I see a message here flashing from the messenger. Too many messages, over 500 on messenger. I can't read all the messages on messenger, but thank you very much, everybody. But this one saying that how do I get into the program with Bayimba that Peter is talking about? He's a poet, he's a drummer himself. He says he's a drummer artist. I don't know what that means. He's an actor. But want to know, how do they get, and is there any program for them in days ahead? Could you share some more light as we close?
All right. So if if you're interested in publishing poetry, for example, you can reach us. You can reach out to Kitara Nation. We have a website, our social media spaces. It's all Kitara Nation. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our email is kitaranation.uganda@gmail.com. Reach out. Let's start a conversation. Yeah. Now, if you're interested in learning how to perform and how to write and how to perform, it's the same way. You can reach us. You can reach out to us on our various media platforms, and we shall be able to help you. Now, for those of you who have programs or projects that you want to run and you want to reach out to Bayimba, you can go through their social. The beauty about the social media these days is that it has made it easier, to access some people where previously, you had to write a letter or you had to write an email. These days, just a messenger message is enough to get you, through that door. Yes, and now for those ones who would want to know more about writing and maybe marketing books, publishing, come and we talk. Reach out to us. We have a number of programs that we are running for poets. We have Verse in Vac. We have the Kitara Nation Poets Poetry program that we also run, where we train ourselves and we train young people in theater poetry. Next year, if all goes well, we also
this is next year, 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
We are bringing back the culture of poetry recitals, if the government allows us to have public performances again. So we are coming up with a weekly poetry show in Kampala, and anyone, as long as you love performing poetry, you can come up with your poem and perform. And again, if you have a manuscript and you want to publish, we are your guys. Just come and we talk.
Thank you very much, Peter, for coming to the show today. And first, I want to put a topic up there and just to remind everyone, that we've been talking about defining and distinguishing poetry, prose, and drama in Uganda and across borders. When we say in Uganda and across border, locally here in Uganda, within the boundaries of Uganda, is it distinguished, defined? Is poetry clear? Do we see the prose when people perform? Do we understand what it means? That's what Peter has been sharing on the show today. And then, of course, we have been talking to Peter Kagai, who is the co-founder of Kitara Nation. Kitara Nation is one of the publishing house, and Peter himself is the publisher. He's a writer, he's a poet, he's a drummer, he's a theater writer. So if you have projects for him, please reach out to him. And we'd like to say thank you very much to everyone. We would like to say, Peter, that it's been really great, having you on the program today. And I want you to take this moment and close the show with a beautiful poem from Peter that closes. A piece from the Kitara Nation.
Wow. Freedom. Freedom is the music of voices stretched in our throats, reaching out to our hearts since our voices were once ghosts. Freedom is the music of voices remembering the ones we have lost in fright and in fear. Freedom is knowing in the morning you can open your heart's window and let the sun in. Freedom is knowing why a caged bird sings. Freedom. Freedom. That's me.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of the show today. We want to say beautiful day. Stay in freedom, and please, freedom is opening up your heart very hard in the morning and let the sun in. Until then, Creative Industry Talk has come to an end. Edio Killer and Peter Kagai Ngobi signing out.
shadow is behind your heels and the moon is full, go to the well and you will find a black stone. Pick it up. Pick it up. Move and don't look back. Don't look back.